Chapter 4. At precisely 4:43 p.m., as confirmed by the meticulous timekeeping of Eben's watch, the intrepid adventurers emerged from the arid wash, their weary forms now positioned a mere 20 meters from the perimeter gate that guarded their night camp. Before them, a rarely traversed road stretched out, leading to the right and curving around the formidable mountain range, a path mirroring the course once carved by the dry river. The camp was encircled by a protective perimeter fence, a sentinel at a lofty height of approximately 3 meters. Its upper reaches tapered outward for half a meter, a resolute barrier designed to deter intruders from attempting to scale its formidable heights. Within this fortified enclosure nestled 2 weather-worn buildings, their exteriors bearing the scars of countless years exposed to the unforgiving elements of sun, wind, and rain. One of these buildings was significantly smaller than its counterpart, its dimensions reminiscent of a generously sized 2-car garage. Perched atop its roof, 2 substantial water tanks loomed, their purpose shrouded in mystery, perhaps intended for showers or potable water. These buildings stood side by side, forming a cohesive front, while across from them, nature had offered a majestic gift in the form of a towering tree. Its branches spread wide, like an enormous permanent umbrella thrust into the earth. Nestled at its base, a bench awaited, promising shade and respite to anyone seeking refuge from the scorching African sun. The campsite, in its entirety, occupied a footprint the size of a tennis court, a testament to the harmonious coexistence of nature's sanctuary and human endeavor in the heart of this rugged wilderness. Eben stopped for a moment, allowing everyone to catch up. He listened intently. After a minute or two of listening, he started moving towards the gates. They were unlocked but closed. He quietly lifted the latch and opened the gate. It gave an unusually high-pitched squeak as the metal clasp moved and opened up. He stopped and listened again. There was no sound, so he moved into the fenced compound with the gaggle following him. He closed the gates after Michael came through, bringing up the rear. Without saying a word, he moved to a small wooden building to his left and opened the door. Inside was a generator that he started. Instantly, a few lights came on along the perimeter of the fence, and there was an audible click as the electric fencing came to life. Only then did Eben speak again. "Well done, everyone," he said. His relief is obvious. That was a close one. The others just stood and stared, perhaps not understanding how close they came to dying that day. Michael was the first to speak up. He was obviously angry. The adrenaline built up over the first few hours now sought an outlet, and he charged Eben. "You asshole!" he shouted, while grabbing Eben by the collar and trying to shove him up against the building wall. In his own mind, Michael had seen himself lift Eben off the ground and hold him up against the building. At the same time, he berated him for not telling them about the lions before they had left the lodge that morning. However, in reality, things turned out a little different. Michael tried grabbing Eben by the collar, only to feel a steel grip grab his wrists and hold him back with much more power than Michael thought Eben could muster. "Calm down, boat," Eben said, using the South African colloquial term for brother. Eben's dark brown eyes had a deep, disturbing fascination that Michael did not like. This was a killer, he thought to himself, instantly regretting his actions. However, Eben seemed gracious enough to let him go. Maybe he understood the emotional effect of being in danger for many hours, and then having instant relief. The others stood, looking at the drama unfolding before them. Lauren stepped between the 2 men and held up her hands. "We are all a bit stressed. So let's just calm down. What do we do next, Eben?" Lauren spoke with a stern voice, bringing calm to the situation. Eben turned to the others. "I'm sorry I didn't tell you about the lions immediately. I didn't know they would get in our way. They had been sighted some 20 kilometers to the northeast of here, and it was unlikely that they would make it this far before our hike began this morning." "How can it be that they moved so quickly?" Michael asked quietly, now calm and embarrassed at his outburst and failure to intimidate Eben. Eben thought for a moment. It could be that they just moved very quickly overnight, or, he paused, this is another pride and not the one we've been tracking. Eben continued. Each pride has a conservation officer assigned to monitor the group when they get close to human settlements. I haven't heard anything from our scouts, which concerns me. Thabo and Mumsi are highly trained game rangers. He let that hang in the air for effect. The youngsters had been standing quietly, and Hope now spoke. I'm hungry. She spoke so suddenly that everyone jumped in surprise. They laughed as she frowned and stood with her hands on her hips. I have not had anything since breakfast, and with the hide-and-seek we've been playing with the lions, I couldn't eat anything at lunchtime. She said this in a whiny voice like a small child would, again making the others laugh. It was a good way to dissolve the tension they had been under for most of the day. Right, Eben picked up the hint. This building here, he pointed at the large garage-like building that stood next to the small hut that housed the generator, this is our accommodations for the night. Inside you will find lamps, preserved food and other equipment to heat the food. We will sleep on the floor inside. Looking at Lauren, he said, there is also a first aid kit. Lauren instinctively knew he wanted her to tend to Jenny's wounds. Lauren took Jenny by the hand and led her into the building, turning on the lights. How long will the generator last? Asked Ethan after he had been looking into the now darkening bush surrounding the campsite. We have enough fuel for 3 days, Eben answered confidently. In the back of his mind was that no one had warned him of the pride of lions that would surely come here when the wind changed, and they picked up the scent of the humans. For now, they would be safe behind the electrified fences. There was plenty of fuel and food, so they could stay the night and move out first thing in the morning. Everyone was tired, and had no problem falling asleep quickly. Within the shroud of night's embrace an imposing figure loomed, commanding the very essence of the wilderness. The alpha male lion, a titan of the savannah, wore his massive mane like a regal crown, a testament to his enduring dominion over these lands. Time had sculpted him into a formidable force, his notoriety earned through countless successful kills that had sustained his reign. In the obsidian abyss of the night, his eyes glowed with an eerie malevolence, casting a sinister yellow sheen that bespoke an ancient malevolence. Unbeknownst to Eben, who had retreated inside and securely shut the doors, the lion stood sentinel, radiating a palpable aura of hatred that seemed to saturate every sinew of his muscular frame. With measured deliberation, the alpha male lion gradually retreated further into the cloak of shadows, finally reclining in silent vigil, his unwavering gaze directed towards the campsite. He was unaware of the forthcoming providence, for he knew where the pride's next meal would be sourced. His fellow pride members, ensconced behind him, shared in the silent communion, their understanding palpable as they caught the subtle growl that emanated from their leader. Yet in the camp, a slumbering world remained blissfully unaware, as the secrets of the wild were whispered only to those who dwelled within its fierce embrace.